Good morning, everyone. I'm Kevin McCluney, and together with Lynn Israel, we will be presenting your service today. Steve Israel is handling streaming here with us, and Lisa Merrill Price is providing technical assistance at home. Thank you all so much for tuning in to today for our live streaming service in light of distancing needed for reducing the spread of COVID-19. You may notice that we are wearing masks today. That is a result of our increased understanding of how the virus is transmitted. We now recognize that the virus can be spread farther than 6 feet when multiple people are in an enclosed room for prolonged periods. Partly because of this, next week we will switch to Zoom-based services where singers and presenters can be in different rooms and not have to wear masks. We have tested it out and think it will work well. We will share the details in the newsletter as well as on Facebook. If you'd like an order of service for today, please look in the comments on the video or see the email sent this morning. We join together this morning to seek justice, equality, and fairness in the world. Our hearts are touched by the human need we feel around us, whether far away or within reach of our hands. We come here to be together because this is how we believe our lives are best lived, in questioning and in conversation, in compassion and in service, in gratitude and in joy, in companionship and in love. It is good to be together with you this morning. Please take a moment to think of all your friends at MVUUC. Greet them with a comment on Facebook, and remember that you can still reach out to them via email, phone, social media, or video chat. Physical distancing does not need to mean emotional distancing. Let us support one another. Because there is a delay in the video broadcast, we encourage people to begin emailing announcements as well as joys and concerns now to services@mvuuc.org or begin posting the information to Facebook comments. We will remind you again later in the service to post your joys and concerns. Visitors, as we are a diverse group with varying interests and beliefs, our services are varied in format, tone, and topic. We encourage you to view several services to gain a good understanding of our congregation. If you'd like to receive our weekly email newsletter, please email us at news@mvuuc.org. MVUUC remains committed to supporting our members and friends during this difficult time of social distancing. For that reason, we are coordinating assistance with groceries, phone calls, and other needs. If this sounds like something that would be helpful to you, please send an email to sac@mvuuc.org with your name and what kind of assistance you would like to request. Now is the time for announcements. Let's see what we have received via email and in the Facebook comments. I'm going to start with an announcement, a general announcement that we received ahead of time. The Sunday Services Committee has been working very hard transitioning to online services to keep our congregation safe. For the last 9 weeks, we have been bringing the services to you via Facebook Live, and then posting the service on your YouTube channel. However, due to changes Facebook has made because of our low upload speeds and our effort to increase our physical distancing, we are moving to services to Zoom platform starting next week. We will post the link to join the service here on our Facebook page and in the weekly newsletter, along with instructions. We will also send the link and instructions in the Sunday morning email with the order of service link. You can join the service using a computer, tablet, or phone. We will open the Zoom channel at 10:30 a.m. to allow people the opportunity to become comfortable using Zoom and to make sure you can connect. We'll have people on hand who can help you if you encounter difficulties. For more information about this, please see the newsletter for this coming week. Now we will check for any additional announcements.
There is one over on the, let's see here. About game night.
Yep. So there's an announcement about game night. We're going to have a virtual game night. The Fellowship Committee is hosting a virtual game night this upcoming Friday, May 22nd at 8 p.m. We'll be playing virtual Settlers of Catan. If you are interested in joining, please contact Robin Perry at news@mvuuc.org. Let me check if there are any others.
There weren't a few minutes ago, but.
Okay, check on here. I don't see any other announcements. The chalice will be lit today by Lynn Israel. Please join me in reading the words for the chalice lighting that appear as a comment on Facebook Live video or in the OOS, which is also posted as a comment on the video. We light this chalice to remind us of our highest values and to inspire us to bring our gifts of love and service to the altar of humanity. May we know once again that we are not isolated beings, but connected in mystery and miracle to the universe, to this community, and to each other. Now we will have opening words by Lynn Israel.
The following words come from Lao Tzu. The person of superior integrity does not insist upon his integrity. For this reason, he has integrity. The person of inferior integrity never loses sight of his integrity. For this reason, he lacks integrity. So, take this service with a grain of salt. The following reading is slightly modified from Living with Integrity in a Post-Truth World, written by Mark Ward, who is the lead minister of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Asheville, North Carolina. He says, "There's a reason why we, as a religious people, affirm and promote a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. It's because we believe that our spiritual wholeness depends on confronting the real facts of our lives and the world we live in. We believe we can live free, awakened, and aware. We can be loving, compassionate, and kind. We can live into who we are and use our gifts to help save the world only in the presence of truth. And from that truth, we derive meaning. And there's no question that we're living in a precarious time for the truth. We find ourselves in a world of alternative facts that amount to a torrent of lies from those in the highest offices in the land. How are we to respond in a way that is true, is centered in integrity, in a way of living that is grounded in what is true and what is right? Several years ago, I heard a presentation at a ministers' conference that stuck with me. The speaker said, in the 1960s, the predominant mode of thinking centered on the notion of rights. Who had them, and how they would be protected. In time, its importance faded to be replaced in the 1980s by a different idea, the rising notion that people shouldn't look to others to make their way in the world, that we are responsible for our own destiny. She identified this with an acronym she gave as YOYO, yo-yo, or you're on your own. She argued, however, that in this new century, that old notion is beginning to fade, and a new meme is rising that acknowledges more directly our interdependence on each other. It's the recognition that while we are responsible for our individual lives, we can't get by on our own. She describes this with the acronym WITT, WIT, or We're in this together. Current leaders notwithstanding, WITT, W-I-T-T, is becoming the acronym of our age. It embodies the recognition that we are fundamentally bound to each other and the earth across races, ethnicities, gender identities, economic status, and nationality. Every person matters. Our work, then, involves building ties to know each other better and exploring how to empower all people to live with purpose and meaning. It means widening our circles of concern to embrace all people, including those who today are marginalized. It is a powerful center of meaning grounded in the truth of the unity of humankind. But it is challenging too. It requires adapting to difference, stepping outside the echo chambers of the narrow silos of our lives. We do this through the choices we make in how we conduct our lives, about how we spend our time, who we associate with. Let's be honest, giving ourselves to this work is not easy. Easy is living our quiet lives in our quiet circles. Hard is putting ourselves in the company of people different from us. It isn't comfortable, and yet it puts us in touch with something so remarkable and compelling that it can astonish us when we first experience it. Annie Dillard describes it as our complex and inexplicable caring for each other and for our life together here. The simple word for it is love, an elemental truth so basic, so vital, that it eludes our conscious minds, as Rumi puts it, like the water that fish swim in. But it's not enough just to name it. As the writer Scott Peck put it years ago, love is as love does. It is an act of will. We do not have to love. We choose to love. Choosing to love is speaking out when we see others demeaned, reaching out to neighbors when they are threatened, listening when another is in pain. I'm afraid it's a long slog ahead for us, folks. That means we must learn to pace ourselves, attend to the good that's in our power to affect, and pay attention. Read your newspapers, stay informed, and look for ways to widen your circles. And let us say a blessing for the complexities of this world. Our human brains evolved to locate patterns and construct scenarios that distill complicated circumstances to a few simple elements. It's a great boon to us, but it also gets us into trouble time and again when the messy world, with all of its inconvenient truths, trips us up. Thankfully, complexity forces us amid all our hubris to admit to a little humility. Ah, humility. That not so gentle reminder that to be human is to be fallible, requiring us to be open to correction, to learn tolerance, forbearance, and so be open to grace. Through the power of humility and grace, we find our way to love, which is the core of integrity. And now, in order to minimize singing until we're better physically separated, I'm going to play for you a wonderful arrangement of a hymn from our hymn book. It's Love Will Guide Us, hymn number 131. And this one, I'll put some information up about it, and we'll get it playing.
Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from free to giving. Love will guide us through the hard nights. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Inside us, will lead the way on the road from free to living. Love will guide us through the hard night. Love will guide us through the hard night.
The following reading is from The Integrity of Community by Reverend Susan Frederick Gray, President of the Unitarian Universalist Association. Integrity is one of the most important character traits we can develop. It is important because it requires both clarity about what one values most and the ability to be reflective about one's actions and one's life. But what about communities? What about congregations, denominations, governments, and societies? Just as for an individual, integrity in community is a measure of the alignment between what a community, organization, or society says about what it values and its actions, intentions, behaviors, and policies. So a lack of integrity would be when a group's actions and practices violate or negate who they say they are. But what about as a country? In his book, What Money Can't Buy, The Moral Limits of Markets, Harvard professor Michael Sandel says a significant problem in the U.S. is that our political discussions no longer really grapple with conversations about values. Questions such as, what does it mean to live a good life? What does the common good look like? What are our civic responsibilities? What is essential for the protection of liberty and democracy? What does equality look like? The heated and often vitriolic debates of contemporary politics are a reflection of how really empty they are. Slogans and sound bites and personal attacks do not make room for real discussions of values and how to protect them and to live them. Integrity requires not only clarity about which values matter most, but also the ability to reflect on our actions and to gauge their alignment with those values. There seems so little capacity in our public discourse for this kind of reflection and discourse. And this fosters disillusionment, regardless of political persuasion, with government and public officials because of their inability to act for the public good or address questions that matter most. Liberty, democracy, equality, a commitment to the common good. These are values we say are foundational to the U.S., and yet it is another value that has been slowly reshaping our society. Sandel argues that market values have pervaded almost all areas of our lives and our society. Almost everything in the U.S. is now for sale. The market has invaded areas that previously were determined by values related to what it means to have a good society. Values aimed at achieving a common good. And nowhere is there a real conversation about where market values make sense and where other values should lead. In fact, the common narrative is that market values are good in all ways, that they provide the efficient distribution of resources, and that markets should dictate all aspects of our lives. But there is a price, and that price is the loss of those other values. Here is an example Sandel gives. There was a study done comparing blood donation systems in the UK and the US. In the UK, all blood is donated without compensation. But here in the US, there is a combination of donations and blood banks that pay people to give blood. Traditional economics would suggest that paying people to give blood would boost supply, for you have both the motivation of wanting to help others and the financial motivation to give blood. In reality, the opposite is the case. The study found that paying people to give blood led to chronic shortages, wasted blood, higher costs, and a greater risk of contaminated blood. Volunteers, when they begin getting paid to do something, find it less rewarding. Getting paid to do something they had volunteered for actually depreciates their intrinsic interest and commitment. The less we are needed or asked to be civic-minded, the less we are called on for civic duty. The less we as citizenry are aware, prepared, practiced, or attentive to those needs. No wonder this sense of commonality and connection is unraveling. Too often, our social relationships are dictated by market values. And the more our lives are dictated by markets, the more those of affluence and privilege are sequestered from those of modest means. We need more civic places and opportunities for dynamic civil discourse and debate about when market values make sense and when a different set of values like democracy, equality, liberty, happiness, and notions of the common good need to guide us. Without this work, we will continue to drift away from our core values and struggle even to articulate them meaningfully. The more nearly every aspect of our lives become a market decision rather than a moral one, the weaker our ability to define and align to what's most important becomes. This is why integrity is so important, for the individual and for communities. Communities have the power to bring out the best and worst in people. Change is possible. Healthy, robust, values-based conversations can be reclaimed if we start inviting them, both engaging them in ourselves and requiring them of the people who ask us to lead. Or ask to lead us, sorry. When we have lost our way as communities, individuals must work together and speak and act to lead the community back to integrity. Okay, if you have joys, concerns, or milestones you would like to share, please begin posting them as a comment on the Facebook video or email them to services@mvuuc.org. So now it's time for our UU Principal Connection. So I was thinking about how this related to our principles. COVID-19 has revealed hard truths about our society. The drive for profit, above all else, has led to hospitals that maintain only the minimum number of hospital beds with no surplus, and just-in-time supply chains for many of the everyday goods we need. Moreover, this drive for profit has led to a lack of sick days or paid leave for the workers that provide critical services. As we open back up, possibly before we have the spread of the virus under control, even more workers will be forced into high-exposure situations. These systems maximize profits, but, as the current crisis has revealed, are risky. They devalue human life. As UUs, most of us believe in the inherent dignity and worth of all people. As UUs, we should not be okay with a system where the poorest among us bear the brunt of societal risks. Thus, I think it is important that we fight for systems that reduce risk to all peoples, regardless of socioeconomics. This can include personal actions to help those most exposed, like wearing a mask when we go to the grocery store, or giving a tip, if we are able to those helping to keep necessities accessible. It can also include checking sources and reducing the spread of misinformation about the virus and treatments. And it can include calling our elected representatives and voting for those who will work to protect all members of society. However you choose to act, let's act with integrity in a way that aligns our actions with our UU principles.
Okay, we have some closing words today that are modified from words written by So-Young Kang. Integrity, the word, stems from the Latin word integer, which means whole and complete. So, integrity requires an inner sense of wholeness and consistency of character. When you are in integrity, people should be able to visibly see it through your actions, words, decisions, methods, and outcomes. When you are whole and consistent, there is only one you. You bring that same you wherever you are, regardless of the circumstance. You don't leave parts of yourself behind. You don't have a work you, a family you, and a social you. You are you all the time. Given the real definition of integrity, we recognize that it is actually extremely difficult to be in integrity 100% of the time. We aspire to be in integrity with what we believe, but sometimes we mess up. Sometimes our emotions get the best of us, and we are unable to intentionally manage our behavior and actions. Sometimes we don't give ourselves permission to be our true selves out of fear of what others may think, or due to an inability to truly integrate the various parts of ourselves into one complete whole person. That's okay. What matters is awareness and effort. Please join me in reading the words for extinguishing our chalice that can be found as a comment in the Facebook Live video or in the order of service, which is also posted as a comment in the video. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of integrity. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
We've moved the offertory to the end of our service because when you click on the PayPal link provided in the Facebook Live video comment section, you may lose your connection to our live feed if you are on a phone or tablet. We are still counting on your pledge payments and donations to help sustain and strengthen this congregation that is so important to all of us, supporting our efforts to be a community of love, truth, justice, and service. Please click on the link and be sure to select the correct designation on the drop-down box when you donate. Thank you. Also, a announcement, just to reiterate, the Sunday Services Committee has been working very hard transitioning to online services to keep our congregation safe. For the last 9 weeks, we have been bringing the services to you via Facebook Live and then posting the service on our YouTube channel. However, due to changes Facebook has made, and because of our low upload speeds and our efforts to increase our physical distancing, we are moving services to a Zoom platform starting next week. We will post the link to join the service here on our Facebook page and in the weekly newsletter, along with instructions. We will also send the link and instructions in the Sunday morning email with the order of service link. You can join the service using a computer, tablet, or phone. We will open the Zoom channel at 10:30 a.m. to allow people the opportunity to become comfortable using Zoom and to make sure you can connect. We will have people on hand who can help you if you encounter difficulties. For more information about this, please see the newsletter for this coming week. Today we will not be holding our usual post-service discussion time. Instead, we will be holding our annual congregation meeting. Please click on the WebEx link in the feed or from the newsletter to attend. You can go ahead and sign in right after service, and we will give people a few minutes to assemble. So as soon as we're done here, go ahead and click on that link and get started. The meeting is very important, and we need a quorum to achieve our objectives, so please, all members, attend if you can. During the meeting, we will vote on the slate of nominees for the new Board of Trustees with terms beginning July 1st, 2020. This year's open positions include Vice President, Treasurer, and 2 trustees. We will also be discussing and voting on the 2020-2021 budget. If you need assistance using WebEx, please email services@mvuuc.org right now, with your phone number, and someone will call you to help you get logged in. Please join us as we live our 5th principle, the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large. Now it is time for our closing song.
In your soul, live with the memory of a melody, go with the song in your heart. Go with the song in your heart. Go with the song until we meet again. The joy of music is a gift to you. Go with the song in your heart. Live with the memory of a Go with the song, go with the song, go with